So I think she really, stands on her own, and that legacy I think that she created and her family created is so powerful, and her music is so good that I think she's going to continue to be a star for the rest of time.
Selena.
If we go out there and give it everything that we've got, we can make this happen, now or never.
Hi, Christian. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. I'm really excited to have the chance to talk with you and about this TV show. And I think we're living in some kind of music biopic movies and TV shows era. It's the Netflix drama about Luis Miguel, Bohemian Rhapsody, Rocketman, and this 2020, it's about Selena. And something that I realized with this production is that there is a huge difference between an imitation and an interpretation. So I would like to know, for you as an actress, how you balance these two concepts in this TV series, because Selena was a great dancer. She had very specific moves in the stage, like the things she used to do with her wrist, or even the way she moved her lips while she was singing. So how you balance the imitation and the interpretation?
I've not heard that before. My concern was neither. My concern was just playing her with as much honesty as I could. I'm a huge Selena fan myself, and I know the importance of this woman to so many. She made such an impact on the world, and I was so grateful for the opportunity and so grateful to her family for, giving me this chance. And I really just studied her as much as I could and made sure that the thing I thought that made her so beautiful was her spirit, and I just wanted to bottle that. And if I could bring an ounce of her spirit to that role, then I think I was doing a very good job.
Yeah, her spirit and her confidence, right?
Absolutely. She was definitely a powerhouse on stage, and I think that she was so diverse for somebody so young. And that was one of many things that I really admired about her.
Gabrielle, Selena the series, regardless the fact that Selena is an icon and a beloved singer, is actually a beautiful and brutal portrait about a family. The rapid rise to fame and personal sacrifices is some kind of devastating to see for the audience. And the relationship between Abraham and Navy is really hard to watch. So how was that for you to represent this relationship?
First off, it was when you have a great dance partner like Ricardo Chavira on screen, on set, our scenes were always pretty easy to get into and really dive into the world and into the scripts and into the scenes. But it was great. It was great. We had a lot of fun, and I love Ricardo, so we know each other personally. We're like super close friends now, and I think we kind of hit it off pretty early on too. So and that's always great, because then you get to see that on screen. And yeah, the dynamic between Abraham and AB is pretty intense. But it comes from a place of love. It comes from a place of family, and that's where Abraham, I think that we'll all understand. And AB was up for the task. He was up for it, and ultimately, as a family, they were all successful together because they stuck together.
There is a lot of footage about Selena, the concerts and a lot of interviews in Spanish and in English. So it wasn't easy for Christian to study her accent and all her movements, but she had a lot of material to study. So I think it was harder for you because Suzette and Marcela were not in the spotlight. So maybe it's a basic question, but for example, Noemi, what did you do to prepare for your role as Suzette?
I studied her immensely. The production was kind enough to give us a dialect coach named Esther Corporale. And with her, we watched over and over any footage that we could. We also watched her performances over and over to see the difference when she was doing more Tejano sounds versus cumbia mainstream sounds and the American sounds, to see Suzette's body language and where her voice was coming from and the shape of her character. I also knew I had creative license because with Esther, we were both able to realize that Suzette's presentation in the public was post-grief. And that was obviously major grief. So that made me have creative license of, okay, let me set up that. So where did she come from? Where was she before this? And so it was nice to have both archives to be really specific about, but then also have the creative opportunity to shape Suzette before all this.
The movie from 1997 is very important because Selena was introduced to a new generation. And this Netflix drama has the chance to do that again, to present Selena to a new whole generation that may have heard her music, but doesn't know her. So have you ever feel afraid about that? Not the commercial success, but the fact that you are introducing an icon to a new generation?
There was of course there was some pressure in playing Selena. I know how loyal her fans are, and I just wanted so badly to make people happy and proud. And I just wanted them to have any bit of Selena back in their lives if it was, the show. But I also think Selena stands on her own. I was very young when she passed, so I was a new generation, and I fell in love with Selena the same way my mom and my aunt were in love with Selena. And my daughter listens to Selena before I booked this role. So I think she really, stands on her own, and that legacy I think that she created and her family created is so powerful, and her music is so good that I think she's going to continue to be a star for the rest of time.
Ricardo, Selena and the Quintanilla family, both I think are a celebration of the Mexican American identities, and the Spanish language was a key, and it was part of her success. And it's funny because their generation didn't speak Spanish because they were trying to assimilate and being part of the American culture, but now it's different. So how was the process for you and the entire Quintanilla family in this series to embrace the Spanish and be part of this story?
Well, Selena and I were of the same generation. We were born 4 months apart in 1971. She was born in April, I was born in September. So I come from that same generation of lacking the ability to speak Spanish. And that's part of my Mexican-American heritage. I've been learning Spanish. And the great thing is having shot this down in Mexico with an all Mexican crew, it did nothing but help my Spanish. I still think that my Spanish is not on par to be able to be using it in interviews. And so I don't want to use this as a mode for practice. But it, that was a wonderful way to kind of, make sure that we felt this kind of the two worlds of, speaking in Spanish and speaking in English and what this Mexican-American experience is and will be on screen in this series.
Well, for my character, I don't think that there was as much pressure with that as it was for Christian and the Los Dinos a little bit, right? But mostly I think the pressure was more on Christian because Selena started with Mexico and transitioning there. That's where her big breaks were on television. So I feel that the pressure was more, like I said, for Christian, but for me, not as much. I was familiar. I think what helped me is that like Ricardo, I'm also from the same generation. I was also born 71. So I grew up watching, Raúl Velasco and telenovelas and all of those shows with my parents. So it was very easy for me to kind of connect and adapt to that world and to the language and all of it because I lived it.
How was your process to embrace the Spanish? Because I think it's easy to sing in another language, but to have a conversation, it's something else. So how was your process with the Spanish language?
I grew up in a Spanish-speaking household, my grandparents being from Guadalajara and Durango, but my Spanish is not perfect. And I was so grateful for the opportunity to play somebody who, like me, was also Mexican-American and struggled with her language, but to also shoot this in Mexico was a dream. I had talked about living in Mexico for so long, or visiting my family there for an extended period of time, anything. So not only was it incredibly fun, challenging but fun to portray somebody who was learning Spanish while I was learning Spanish with her, but it was just great to be surrounded by my culture and my people and the language that I grew up listening to. And it really helped me, I think, in life as an actress, as a mom, to take the things that I learned back home to my child so she knows her identity. But also it was so helpful for me in the role. When I was mispronouncing something, our crew was helping me. Everyone is helping you. Everyone wants you to succeed, and everyone wanted this show to succeed and be as good as possible. And I really miss the Selena crew already.
Did you find out new music through the production of the series? You know, Selena was a big fan of Madonna and Paula Abdul, Janet Jackson, but maybe you find out some artists from Tejano music or rancheras or norteñas?
Well, I mean, I'm from South Texas. So like as I was growing up, you know, I mean, my father is a huge fan of Tejano music and conjunto music and ranchera. So anytime I was getting into his truck and he was picking me up from high school or picking me up from college, there were radio stations that were playing nothing but Tejano and conjunto. So I was subjected to this music my entire life. Not willingly when I was younger, but now I definitely have a beautiful appreciation for it.
Did you find out music, Tejano music, rancheras, norteñas, that you add to your personal catalog?
Absolutely. Yeah. Playing the drums and learning them, especially. I had specific ranchera songs of Selena's que eran ya son mis favoritos para tocar. And I don't know if we can mention the names of them, but I definitely have them on my social, my shuffle and my music. And it's just been nice to have a deeper dive for myself as a Selena fan to see the other ranchera songs of hers and to really feel that Mexican pride that I already feel with her. But now it's a little more specific to a time and place and a certain genre that is just classic Mexicano-Americano, bicultural. And I love them.
So thank you very much, Noemi and CD, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank
Gracias.
you.